This video is brought to you by the FARMER-KLEIN YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at the Italia Emilia extension in both single player and multiplayer. But before that, this video is brought to you by Brett Pruitt and Cowboy Farming. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Italia Emilia extension map can be found over at the ega.cloud/edo mods website. There will be a link down in the description below to that website. As a result of this map not being available on the Giants Mod Hub or the in-game downloadable menu, this map is going to be available as of the current release to PC players only. Now, I do not know if the map author has any intentions on submitting this map to the Giants Mod Hub for possible consideration on console. I do know in the FS19 version of the map, it first came out for PC players on his website, and then later a lighter version of the map did make its way to the Mod Hub for console players. Now, there were several things that were missing from that lighter version that was sent to the Giants Mod Hub, I think because of the slot count and just the general limitations on consoles in 19. With the slot count being much larger in 22, but also this map is larger in 22, there may or may not need to be certain consolidations made or things removed from the map for it to be on console. So I do not know if his intentions are to bring it to console, and if his intentions are to do that, what sacrifices may or may not need to be made in order to get this map on console. Now, before we jump into the map tour, I do want to go over and look at the website in order to download this map and talk about a couple things because it's a little bit different than maybe you might be used to with respect to downloading maps. Now, as soon as you land on the mod author's website, you're going to see right here that we can download the single player experience with low quality textures, the multiplayer experience with low quality textures, or we can download a high quality texture pack that includes an installation guide on how to install those texture packs. And then we can still download the FS19 version of the map. Now, should you so wish to provide a donation, then you also have the ability to do that. Now, that is between you and the map author. I'm not encouraging or discouraging sending a donation. Now, overall, this map is 100% custom. You're not going to find a single Giants delivered building or asset on this map other than, in-game vehicles and equipment. So this map author has put in an absolute ton of work. We can join his Discord, or we can take a look and get the extension download guide. Now, this guide is going to walk you through each and every farm and various other special aspects of the map. I highly, highly suggest you download this guide and take a look at it. This map tour is going to be rather long. In fact, I might even break this map tour up into 2 different videos because of how long it's going to be. Because we are going to go through all 8 farms. We're going to go through all 9 production facilities and talk about the very complex biogas plant that is a part of this map, all in this video. The download guide is going to show you that, break it down in pictures, and just basically show you where all the triggers are, because sadly the map author didn't necessarily mark all the triggers all that well. Now, there's a couple known bugs here, and the reason I think that we have a multiplayer download version of the map is at this point, the train, for whatever reason, is not allowing the map to load up properly in multiplayer, so the train has been removed. And I was looking at the multiplayer version earlier, trying to figure out why there is a single player and a multiplayer version, and I really couldn't figure it out other than the fact that the train is missing. I was really hoping that when you loaded up the multiplayer version on a server, that all 8 farms were pre-built and each farm owned a specific section of fields and section of farmland. but that isn't the case. You still have to build out all 8 farms and assign them specifically. So I think it's simply because the train is missing. Now, there's also an issue with solid digestate and grape production waste. Basically, consider those 2 different types of compost, if you will, because you can use those to fertilize your fields. If you play with precision farming, right now, precision farming does not recognize solid digestate or grape production waste as something that you can apply to the field in order to increase the nitrogen levels. Now, we saw this with the anhydrous mod that we did a video on a little while back, and they use some wonderful script magic to make that all work. This map does not include any custom scripts. So right now you would have to basically modify the precision farming mod to work with solid digestate and grape production waste if you play with precision farming on this map and you plan on using those 2 products on your fields for fertilization's sake. The website also includes a nice interactive map that we can click on various sections of the map and get a much better look at where various things are. So once again, it's something you might want to explore. And then what we really want to take a look at here is the list of recommended and required mods. Now, the first list here on recommended mods are really going to be around trying to have a unique Italian gameplay experience. A lot of these mods are going to be either related to machinery that is used in Italy for farming, or things like GPS, REA wheels and implements, and Proceed that the map author fields are going to be essential to giving you a more realistic gameplay. Now, all of these will take you to the Farm Sim website if they are a Farm Sim mod, like the Guide and Steering and the Fiat Agri 16055. There are a handful of these that will take you to external third-party websites to download. So you can download these if you wish. These are not required. The following 5, though, are required because they are either part of your starting equipment or are going to be required for the production aspects of the map. That is going to be the Fiat X70 series, the New Holland TX32, the Amazon D9, and then we have the Italia Emilia extension production, and then Italia Emilia extension, and this is a wood chipper that is built into the map. So once you download these mandatory mods, we're also going to want to come up here and download the map. So we're just going to go to download the low-res single-player version, and we're going to be taken to a page right here. And we're going to go to single donation by credit card or free download. Okay, you do not have to pay to download this map. So we're going to click on that button and we're going to come in here, name a fair price. If you wish to give the map author a little bit of a donation, you can do that at this time. Put in whatever price you should so wish. Do note this is in euros. So if you are in, let's say, America, this isn't going to necessarily be a one-to-one association of dollars to euros conversion. If you want to download it for free, FREE is good for me and you. We're just going to put in 0. I want this. We're going to click on that. We're going to need to give it your email address. So you're going to go plug in an email address, any email address, and we're going to hit get. And then it is going to download the map. We have successfully put in 0 money and are downloading the map. We do not have to pay to download the low-res texture version of the map. Now, when we get to the texture pack, he is asking a €2 cost to download the texture pack. I don't have an issue with this because we're not paying for the map. We can get a perfectly functional version of this map, albeit with some less than stunning textures. But still, we can get a perfectly playable version of the map at 0 cost. If we want to, we can plug in €2, say, I want this. What we're going to get is some high quality textures that we can then add into the low quality download version of the map. And then we're going to have a way of paying for this. We're going to plug in the email address, and then it's going to say right here, we're going to be charged $2.04 in US money for the Euro to US conversion. And then we're going to be able to pay and download the map. If you want to pay to get the high quality textures, that's between you and the map author. What we're going to demonstrate on this particular video is going to be the free map that is using the low quality textures. So let's go ahead and jump on back over the map video and let's get started. Now, I do have the required mods added to my mod folder. I did not add the recommended mods because there's just so many, and I wanted to be sure that I could pick out between the recommended and required mods the right ones. So we are going to use the required mods that are the Amazon D9, the Fiat X70 series, the New Holland TX32. Then we have the Italia Emilia extension, that one right there. And then we also have the crane vehicle listed right there, as well as the map. We're also going to be using the mods that we typically use when we take a look at the map set is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map as it loads on in. I will say if you load this map up in Farm Manager or start from scratch, the entire map is exactly how you see it here in the new Farmer video, with the exception you do not own any land at the start, nor do you have any machinery at the start other than a forklift that is at the main farm. Now we're going to quickly get out of here because I don't know if this music is copyrighted or not. So, woo! Hopefully we didn't get hit for anything off of that little shindig. But at any rate, when we load on in for the very first time, we are greeted with this welcome message. It says, "Welcome to Italy." The Italy map gives the player a new gaming experience thanks to new Italian-style buildings, flanked by game paths to choose from to write your own story of a successful company. To download the map only from the dedicated official website. So basically, if you have downloaded this map from anywhere other than this website, what on earth did you do that for? Because I cannot say if you're going to get an authentic version of this map. So let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA itself. We're going to zoom on out, and you can see we've got a listing of all 8 farms here and what is included on each of these farms. We also have various other areas denoted by letters on the map. We have forestry. And then a big thanks to all of these individuals. Once again, where to have downloaded the map properly. So anyone that downloads the map from just a random third-party website is clearly going to see that the official website is really located right here. We do have all of the standard crop types available to us here on Farm Sim 22, and we also have the ability to have white grapes. So white grapes are a custom crop on the map, and we do have a few of those white grape fields located right here, right by our starting position. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lands area. And in new farmer mode, we start out by owning the C farm as well as field 1. It is $337,000 to buy. If you should decide to start in Farm Manager or start from scratch, or you are doing a multiplayer game where you are starting with no land, or you're doing one of those, dare I air quote, Survivor series gameplays where you start with 0 money, then there are a few other lower cost starting options. You could start out here on plot A, which is only going to cost you $6,300 to buy. So you could do a little bit of contract work, earn enough money to buy this starting location. You could also buy land B. Let's see if I can find where land B is. And land B includes this little section up here in town because we're renting an apartment to sleep at in town. And then we have just a little shed over here Now that is going to be $19,000 to buy. We've already talked about Farm C. Then we have a pig sheep farm that is going to be $1 million to buy. That is Farm D. We have a huge grape farm down here in Farm E that is going to be $2.4 million to buy. Farm F is $2.2 million to buy. Farm H is going to be $5.1 million to buy. Farm G is going to be $2.3 million to buy. The BGA is going to be $113,000 to buy. We have a area over here in, which is for a horse stable. That is going to be $88,000 to buy. We have a sheep area. Sorry, this is, sheepfold, which is $92,000 to buy. We have another cow stable over here, which is $829,000 to buy. We've got some forestry over here, $582,000, $140,000, and $229,000 to buy. Everything you see here on this PDA can be purchased. You can buy all of the land on this map, should you so wish. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. The farmland lease screen is going to show us all of the buyable farmlands, how big the farmland is, and how many fields, if there are any fields that are associated with those farmlands, and then how much the farmland is going to cost us. So we start out by owning farmland 1, which is associated with field 1, $337,000, and that is in new farmer mode. So let's just go ahead and scroll through this list and take a look at all of the available farm lands and how much those are going to cost us and what fields they may or may not include. Go ahead and take a look at our field calculator screen. And this is going to show us the individual fields and how large each individual field is. We're then going to be able to cross-reference the field numbers with the farm lands to then get a general idea of how large the fields are versus the buyable farm lands, and then also the cost of the fields themselves. And let's go ahead and see how the soil map is applied to the PDA. Now, what's rather surprising is with all the work that the map author has put into this map, we're still using the generic soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. I really would have expected to have seen a custom soil map, but we are using the generic soil map so we can see how that gets applied to the fields. We have a good section here of loam and sandy loam, surrounded by loam, and then silty clay. We have some more silty clay running down here through the southern part of the map, and then a good chunk of the main center of the map is going to be a combination, again, of silty clay, loam, sandy loam, and loamy sand. Now, if we take a look at our crop calendar, we do indeed have a custom crop calendar available on the map for all of our crops, including our white grapes. Again, white grapes are a new crop that are added to this particular map. If we take a look at our prices screen, you can see that we do indeed have the ability to sell all of the base game growable crops. Now, one caveat is that the grapes and olives, the only sell points for those are buyable factories. So if you buy the oil mill, for example, then your only option is going to be to send olives to the oil mill for processing for olive oil. If you grow grapes and you happen to own the cellar or the wine production plant, then, or both, then your only option is going to be to send those grapes to those plants for the purpose of producing wine. We do have a sell point for a sugar beet cut. We also have sell points for eggs, wool, and milk. We have some sell points for silage, hay, straw, and grass. And we do have the ability to sell all of the base game productions that are available on the map, including, as you're going to see when we get down to the bottom, there are a fair list of additional productions that we do have available for sale. We have a couple bulk lime buy points. Now, we do not have a place to sell or process stones built into the map. So if you do play with stones enabled, you will need to put down your own stone crusher. Now, here we start into some of the custom fill points. We have solid digestate. And as I said earlier, think of this as compost. Grape production waste. Once again, think of this as compost. We can use both of these on our fields, or as you can see, we can sell these at the residual solid digestate disposal, which is at the BGA, or the BGA itself for grape production waste. We have olive oil production waste. Then we have an empty wine barrel, a barrel of red wine, a barrel of white wine. Then we have firewood, metal components, pasta, fresh pasta, white grapes, and then pasteurized milk. And we're going to talk about all of the custom production items here in a little bit, as far as how we get pasteurized milk, what's the difference between pasta and fresh pasta, firewood, empty barrels, and the such. So the starting equipment is fairly small. All of it is new. None of it is leased. We start out with just a chicken coop, and that is at the starting farm in new farmer mode. We do have contracts available, and we do not own any production chains at the start, and this map does not include any collectibles. So let's go ahead and buy all of the production facilities and then do a little bit of a run through on what is accepted at each production facility, what are the recipes for those production facilities, and what are the outputs. As far as the oil mill is concerned, the oil mill is going to accept sunflowers, canola, and olives. It is going to output sunflower oil, canola oil, and olive production waste. So we have 30 units of sunflowers to 10 units of sunflower oil, 30 units of canola to 10 units of canola oil, and 30 units of olives for 10 units of olive oil, and 20 units of olive oil production waste. We have our wine production plant that is going to accept grapes, empty wine barrels, and white grapes. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 10 units of grapes, 6 wine barrels, and we're going to make 6 barrels of wine and 4 units of grape production waste. And then the same general recipe for white wine, 10 white grapes, 6 units of barrels is going to make 6 barrels of white wine and 4 units of grape production waste. As far as the BGA is concerned, the BGA is going to accept manure, wood chips, slurry, silage, sugar beet cut, olive production waste, grape production waste, straw, grass, and hay. As far as outputs go, we're going to get electric charge, methane, digestate, and solid digestate. If you wish to have the BGA operate similar to how a base game BGA is, you're going to want to set electric charge and methane to to selling. If you leave it on storing, you're going to get a whole lot of electric charge built up and you're never going to get any money for it. You're going to get a whole lot of methane built up and you're not going to get any money for it. So if you have no use for electric charge, and as I've best been able to establish, there's no way to pull electric charge out of the BGA anyway. So definitely set that to selling. Methane, if you've got some custom production that you put down that requires methane as an input, then you could retract methane, because I do believe there is a trigger to pull methane out. We will take a look at that when we get over to the BGA, but overall, just set these to selling, and then they're going to operate very, very similar to how a base game BGA is going to operate. The solid digestate, again, is going to be like compost. We can use that on the fields, or we can pull solid digestate out and then run it back through a sell point at the BGA to get a little bit of money. Now, as far as our recipes go, we have 50 units of manure to 2 units of energy, 10 units of 1 unit of energy, 2 units of methane, 10 units of digestate, and 20 units of solid digestate. Wood chips, we have 8 units of wood chips and 12 units of slurry is going to make 2 energy, 1 methane, 6 digestate, 4 solid digestate. Silage is going to require 10 units of silage, 5 units of slurry for 3 units of energy, 3 methane, 3 digestate, and 5 solids. Sugar beet cut is 9 sugar beet cut, 5 slurry for 3 energy, 2 digestate, or 2 methane, 3 digestate, and 5 solid digestate. Olive oil production waste is 15 olive oil production waste, 5 slurry, 2 units of energy, 3 units of methane and digestate, and 8 units of solid digestate. Grape production, we have 13 units of grape production waste, solids, and 5 units of slurry for 3 energy, 3 methane, 3 digestate, and 7 solid waste. Straw, 50 units of straw, 30 units of slurry for 3 energy, 3 methane, 15 digestate, 25 solid digestate, 35 units of 35 units of grass, 25 units of slurry for 2 units of energy, 3 units of methane, 12 units of digestate, 17 units of solid digestate waste. And hay is 20 units of hay, 20 units of slurry for 1 energy, 2 methane, 10 digestates, and 10 solid waste. We have a grain mill that is going to produce wheat, barley, oat, and sorghum flours. 100 units of wheat for 70 units of flour. 100 units of barley for 70 units of flour. 100 units of oats for 100 units of flour. And 100 units of sorghum for 85 units of flour. We have our dairy, which is going to take milk and produce either butter, cheese, or pasteurized milk. 15 units of milk is going to produce 14 units of butter. 4 units of milk for 2 units of cheese, and 4 units of milk for 4 units of pasteurized milk. We have another location that is going to make wine for us at the cellar. We're going to have grapes, wine barrels, or white grapes as inputs, and we're going to get red wine, white wine, and then grape production waste as outputs. 10 grapes, 6 barrels are going to make 6 barrels of wine and 4 units of grape production waste. White wine is going to be 10 units of white grapes, 6 casks for 6 barrels of grapes, or white wine, and 4 barrels of grape production waste. At the sawmill and carpentry, we are going to be taking wood and metal components as inputs. And we're going to be able to output wood planks, wood metal components, or basically barrels, and firewood. So for wood, we've got 10 units of logs for 5 units of planks and 3 units of firewood. For our barrels, we're going to have 3 logs and 1 metal component is going to make 6 barrels and 2 units of firewood. Then firewood is going to be 10 units of trees for 10 units of firewood. Now we're going to be able to take the firewood and move it down to our bakery, where we're going to require flour, firewood, pasteurized milk, eggs, and butter for the production of bread and cake. So we have bread at 10 units of flour, 2 firewoods for 7 breads. And cake is a bit different than the cakes that we are used to in the base game. We're requiring 5 flour, 2 pasteurized milk, 3 eggs, 2 butters, and 2 firewoods, and we're going to get 6 cakes. Final production that is built into the map is a pasta factory, which is going to take flour and eggs, and is going to make pasta and fresh pasta. So pasta is going to be 20 units of flour for 8 units of pasta output, and fresh pasta is going to be 20 units of flour and 10 units of eggs to produce 12 units of fresh pasta. Now, with that, let's go ahead and get set up for our fly around. Since we are not starting at any of the starting farms, I just want to go ahead and do a fly around of the map, get a good general overview of what is going on here at the map. Then we're going to come down to the vehicle shop, get an Mahindra, and then the bulk, hard to believe it, the bulk of this map video is going to be the drive around when we go around to all of the custom farms, all of the animal areas, and all of the production areas, and talk about where all the inputs are, the outputs are, and such. Let's get a little bit of altitude and take a look around. Now we do have our white grapes directly below They are basically the same appearance as regular grapes, except instead of having nice blue or purple grapes, we have mostly white, greenish, or lightly colored grapes. Go ahead and take a look around. The starting farm in new farmer mode is directly in front of us, right over there, as we continue to make our way around the map. Just to our right, at a field of view here, we have the old pig farm in FS19 version of this map. This map's version has pig and sheep located there. Up on the hill, we have the big farm that has basically all of the animals, and we also have wine production located there. Way off in the distance at this point, we really can't see it from this level, is the massive grape farm. Now, over here, we have kind of an interesting feature that we are looking at kind of directly in front of us off in the distance. There is a field off in the distance that has solar panels in the field. Now, that is going to be quite the challenge when it comes to farming those fields. Because of those solar panels, they do have collisions. But there's an interesting sign that I'm going to point out. Apparently, this is a new initiative of matching solar panels and agriculture in such a way that you can continue to use the land for agriculture, but you can also have it available as kind of a solar farm. So we can see the train running down off in the distance. Just like with FS7 or 19's version of this map, the train does circle the map, but we can rent the train and use it for selling things and transporting objects around. To the left, we have our dairy. The blue building here is going to be our flour mill. And then the crane superstructure, which we are about to go to, is going to be a wood chipping facility. So this isn't a production facility per se. We don't have to buy it in order to use it. We do have to enter it in order to control it, but we can come down here and basically make wood chips lickety split with logs. We will be taking a look at that also during the drive around. Let's just go ahead and loop around here. Directly below, we have a silo or train transfer area where we can transfer something from a trailer to the train. We also have a sell point located right there. Just below here to our right, we have an external sheep pasture. We have some decorative olive trees over here to the left, and that is going to lead us into the starting farm in new farmer mode, where we have chicken coop. We have a silo. We have several other things going on here. We have a silo down here for storing seed and fertilizer, as well as a way to basically put things onto a train. As we continue coming down the eastern side of the map, we have a horse pasture located directly below here. And then the bullseye that you're seeing below, that is listed as a training pole for the horses. I don't think that actually serves any sort of actual useful thing with the horses, but I think you can just kind of ride the horses around the pole as if they are attached to the pole and are just kind of, doing some exercise. So down here we have our sawmill and carpentry facility. This is going to be for selling logs as well as producing planks, as well as barrels and firewood. We're going to talk about all of those inputs during the drive around portion of the video. We're coming up to the biogas plant, and the biogas plant is going to be a bit more sophisticated, as I said earlier, than a base game biogas plant. But before we get to the biogas plant, we do have the ability to buy bulk product here: lime, seed, and fertilizer. The red hopper is where we're going to get our solid digestate, aka compost, out of. We have the ability to fill something from a train, and like bulk seed, lime, and fertilizer. We have our digestate, we have our digester, we have our digestate tank area, we have our methane area, 3 silage bunkers, a little shed, storage of BGA equipment. We have our digester, we have our sell point or our dump point for slurry, and then we have the ability to dump into the BGA from either the train or a trailer located here, or we could basically use a wheel loader or a belt and put it into the digester right there. Now to our left, off in the distance, we have our shop. We're just going to kind of ignore that for now and loop back around. We have our fuel station below. We're going to be able to refuel our vehicles. The big farm up on the hill. Might as well make our way up there. All of the triggers at all of these farms will pop up once we own the land. Before we get around to our drive around, I'm going to go ahead and just buy all of the farmlands. That way we'll have all those triggers popping up. But this is the mega farm. $5+ million to buy. You have pigs, we have cows, we have sheep, we have chickens. We have a winery here, as well as obviously the ability to store crops and such in their silos and whatnot. Lots of grapes on the hillsides. I believe that that particular farm was one of the farms that had to be sacrificed for the console version in FS19. Down below, we have the old pig farm, which is now a pig and sheep and chicken farm in the FS22 version. We have a storage area over here with a silage bunker that is close to this farm, but is independent. You can buy it independent of that farm. We have a water fill trigger located right there. And then coming back to town, we have a sell point. We have our pasta factory in town. And then we have a sleep trigger, which is associated with the second farm, Farm B. So here we have the hostel sell point. We have then the pasta factory. And then around the corner here, up this walking path, we have what would be the sleep trigger for Farm B. So if we own Farm B, the sleep trigger is going to be located right there. As I said, we have our flour mill. We have a root crop sell point. We have our animal dealer, all located over here. Farm A, if you're starting in, basically start from scratch with no money type concept of survival gameplay, then you can buy this little corner here for $6,000. You've got a little shed, you've got I believe a fuel trigger, you've got a silo, you've got a sleep trigger, all ready to get you going there. We have our dairy. It's funny as I've been staring at the mini map trying to figure out where on earth I was, and I was looking at the completely wrong section of the map. That's what that awkward pause was. Let's make our way over here too. Now we are in an expanded part of the map. This part of the map was never a part of the FS19 version. There was promise to have the extended version released for FS19, but then I think FS22 got announced. And as soon as it got announced, the extended version's release for 19 just seemed to like instantly get canceled and make its way to 22 instead. So we have sheep, we have pigs, and I believe we also have cows at this farm. Like I said, we're going to get a much closer look at all of these farms when we get to the drive around portion. Now, I'm just going to fly over the area here that has the solar panels. That's what we're going towards right now. But it is a rather interesting concept and idea of basically taking farmland, erecting these stands, the superstructure, and then mounting these panels in such a way that they can, I assume, follow the sun. I assume that they have motors and can rotate to follow the sun. But at the same point, in theory, they are still providing light to the plants, to the crops below them, in order to get the best of both worlds, basically. We have green energy, and we also are not losing farmland just for the purpose of producing that green energy. Never seen this before. In real life, I've seen solar farms that are just giant areas of cleared land that have acres upon acres of solar panels. But this idea is really cool, really unique. And according to the sign that we're going to look at during the drive around, money donated to the map author as a result of this map is going to go to continue the funding in, I think, researching and marketing that type of program. So here we have a cow facility that is just kind of off here by itself. Large cow facility, some vehicle storage, some bale storage, silage area. Coming up on our right, we have a sell point that is going to allow us to sell both from a train or a trailer. It is located just below. Now, up here on top of the hill, we have the big farm. Remember, we just took a look at that in a little bit. Farm B is just down the hill from the mega farm, but it is not necessarily associated with the mega farm. Remember, Farm B, the sleep trigger is in town at the apartment. And then there is some silo storage, some shed storage here for Farm B. Just down from Farm B, we have just kind of a random area here where we can produce silage. Then we can store silage in this silo and then transfer that silage to the train. And we can then take that over to the BGA and do a bulk unload of silage. Another farm is going to be located right here. This is again over in the extended part of the map. This was not an area that we saw in FS19. This is an area that is set up for pigs for sure. I believe there may be another animal here. There might be sheep. I'm gonna have to buy it and then we'll find out during the drive around. Let's make our way over to the mega wine mansion down here in the southwest corner of the map. Lots upon lots of grapes. If you've been holding out and you haven't done grapes in Farm Sim 22, this may be the map that gets you into grapes. Because there's a whole lot of grapes built into this map already. So we have, at this facility, we have the oil mill. We have another wine processing facility. and a whole lot of grape fields or vineyards, grape areas, whatever the proper term is. Someone will know it, and someone will chastise me for being ignorant. Well, whatever it is, you got a whole lot of it down below. All right, let's make our way over to the shop, and then we're going to get into our Mahindra and do our drive around, where we will once again take a closer look at each and every farm, production area, and animal area on the map. The shop is coming up right here. And unlike the FS19 version of the shop, this one's got some deco elements to it. The 19 version of this shop felt a little barren because there was an empty showroom. Didn't have anything going on. But here, that is not the case. So we do have a usable forklift at the shop. This is going to be a forklift that we can make use of. We have our workshop trigger, our dealer trigger. So we can customize, paint, repaint, and sell there. We have our dealer trigger located right here. Let's go ahead and get our Mahindra. A decent area for equipment to spawn in at. We're not going to be able to spawn in a massive amount of equipment, but we do have a decent area for things to spawn in at. Now, if you look at the PDA, we have icons for all of this machinery, but this machinery is not something that we can actually make use of. So we do have the forklift, right? We have icons here, but we can't actually get into them. So we can click on these, but we can't click on any of these. They do show up, though, in our PDA as machinery, but they are not usable in any way. I do like having the machinery here. I think it might be a little bit confusing to the player. Having the icons where it says owned by you. Well, if it's owned by me, why can't I use it? Now, I assume there probably can be some XML trickery, some XML hackery to go in here, and in order to then make this stuff actually usable by us. But this video is not going to cover doing that in any way. But hey, who wouldn't like themselves some free machinery? Release these things from their glass enclosure and let me use them, right? A little bit of XML trickery, and I'm sure that is going to be more than possible. So let me go ahead and buy all of the farmlands, all the animal areas and such, and then we'll go take a look. Now, before we go into the tour, I do want to jump back real fast to our build mode and talk about a few things. So there are no custom buildings that are associated specifically with this map. There's no custom silos, extensions, containers, tools, or farmhouses. But if we take a look here at production, it does appear that we do have some custom production. This is a caveat of a major warning. Do not attempt to place these production things because they're not going to place properly. I do not think the map author intends for you to have the ability to place these. I think it is an error that these are showing up, because if you do try to place them, all you're going to get are triggers. You're going to get a concrete pad where the building should be, and that's it. You don't actually get the building itself. Now, I'm not going to place these down, but, you know, it looks like you can place them, right? But when we actually put them down, all we're going to see is a little concrete pad and the triggers, or the trigger markers. So I do not think that these are actually intended for you to be able to place additional production areas on. So just a word of warning, I would not place these 4 items. Same goes for the selling point here. This is just a trigger. This is not going to actually put down the selling point. You're going to get kind of a concrete pad and then just the trigger. Under orchards, we do have the ability to draw our white grapes as well as our regular grapes. Another thing under custom generators, we do have the ability to put down this. It's going to say too many animal pens, so we will need to put down the mod. If we do want to put any more animals in, we'll have to put down the additional animal pens mod in order to allow that. But again, I think we're going to get just some triggers and not actually the building. So I really wouldn't place that down. Just space game, other animal areas here. Nothing special under decoration. And then under landscaping, we have our general FS22 textures and plants. So I just wanted to show you all that before we forgot about it and moved on to other parts of the video. So I think what we're going to do is maybe go in a counterclockwise direction. We're going to have to kind of loop around and weave around to some things. I don't think there's a really good path to hit all of this stuff because, well, quite frankly, there is a ton of what there is. Let's make our way over to the BGA. The way the map is set up, it's almost like there's even additional areas where the map author could continue to expand things. So here we are at the biogas plant. We have 3 silage bunkers, 2 of which you could back up and dump into from above, or you could come in from below and dump into those. So we have bunker 1, 2, and 3. We have a dump station for our slurry. As if you remember from the recipes section of the video, a lot of the inputs for the biogas plant are also going to take slurry. So here we have a large slurry pit to dump our slurry. We have our interactive icon. We have a dump station for our digester right there. We also have, let me run around the upper part of this real fast. We also have the ability to dump into the BGA from a trailer right here or from the train right there. Now, a sell point here at the BGA is going to be located right here. This is to sell digestate solids. If you don't want to use them on your field, you can put them in there and sell them back to the back to the BGA. Got some vehicle storage, a little info map, basically how the BGA works, in the real world. Little instructional information. Right here we have a methane tank to refuel our methane vehicles if we have any. And then this right here is a trigger. I believe if you had the ability to transport methane, maybe you put in some custom methane production that requires methane, or you had a sell point that would accept methane, you had a way of transporting that in a trailer, then you would be able to do that from here and extract your methane. But really, I think the best thing is to set methane and energy to sell it. That way it's going to auto sell. We have our slurry point located right here. And then down below, we have a bulk buy point. for lime, fertilizer, and seed. Oh, so there's our seed. And then lime, and then fertilizer. Over here we have the fill point for our digestate solids. There aren't any in there right now, but you can see kind of what that looks like. That's why I was kind of associating it with compost. We've seen compost in other maps. It's just called digestate solids here. And that is basically the biogas plant. We're going to loop over here to our gas station. And then we'll come back over to our sawmill. Here we have our gas station. A little in-cab driving, get a little bit of an idea of the lay of the land here. Now overall, the frames are pretty good on this map. I was messing around on my home office computer earlier, which has a 1070 Ti in it. For the most part, it was running 60 frames without any issue whatsoever. If I unlocked the frame rates, it was bumping up, sometimes up 120 frames in a completely unlocked frame rate scenario. We are playing and recording here at 1440p, and I did set the frame rate on this system to 90 frames, and we are, for the most part, hanging it solid at 90 frames, and then we are recording at 60 frames, 1440p, like I said. So here we have our sawmill. We've got lots of stuff going on here. Let's go ahead and pull up our F1 trigger. We have our sell wood trigger. We have our interactive icon, and then we have our dump trigger. We have our dump point for our logs. If we are bringing our logs in off the train, we have our log sell point right here and our sell wood trigger. If we're bringing wood chips off the train, we have a wood chip dump point located right there. We have a rent train. We have a dump point if we were bringing wood chips off of a trailer right there. And then with respect to our production pallets are going to spawn right here. So let's talk about some of the map's scoring. So with respect to production being built in, there are 9 production items built into the map. We have an oil mill, 2 wine production facilities, a wine production and a wine fermenter. We have a BGA, a flour mill. We have a dairy, sawmill, carpentry, as we see here, bakery, and a pasta facility. The map's going to get a full point with respect to having production built in. That is for sure. We are going to give the map a full point with respect to having the ability to sell all of the base game products, animal outputs, and production. We do have a little asterisk next to that in the fact that we do not have the ability to process stones by default. If you do play with stones enabled, you will need to put down your own stone crusher, but we're not going to take down any points on the map with respect to that. As we get around to looking at the farms, we'll talk about the farm customization. But for now, here we have the horse area, the independent horse area. So we have our water trigger. We have our food trough. We have our horse point. Let's go ahead and Get our first animal here. And then across the way, inside, we have an area for manure. Okay? So typically horses don't produce manure. And if we look at our animal area here, okay, it doesn't show horses producing manure. There's no manure gauge here. But we do have a manure heap. So it's quite possibly we will get manure from our horses. And then just over there, we have the exercise pole for the horses. But again, I don't think we can necessarily attach the horses to the pole. I think the pole's just there and we're intended to drive around the pole. I'm going to do a quick 180 and make our way over to the starting farm in new farmer mode. That is Farm C. That's the chicken farm. Now, overall, as we are driving around, we're going to take a look at our crop texture or textures. Now, this area that is using stone area does appear to be using the new texturing technique, but I will say the mass bulk of the map is not using the new texture technique as best I can tell. But again, remember, we are using the low quality textures. Okay, so we're using the low quality textures. It's quite possible that the higher quality textures do make use of that new technique. I have not seen those because, again, the new quality textures or high quality textures are going to come at a cost of €2, or as of the recording of this video, $2.04 US. That would then be to download the high quality textures that you can then add to your map. So once again, what we are looking at right here in this map video is the free version of the map that is using what the map author calls low quality textures. So here we are at the starting farm. For new farmer mode, we have our chicken coop. So we have our dump station for our chicken feed. We have our chicken buy point. 600 chickens in this coop. And then we have our spawn point for our eggs, which I believe is right here. Now, the guide, PDF guide, outlines exactly where everything is for all of the farms and all the production areas. The BGA, all the animal areas and such. I've already looked at that, and I've tried to memorize where things are, but I may get things a little mistaken during this video because I've got so much I'm trying to keep in my head. So we've got a water fill point here. We have our silo output pipe right there. Our silo dump station is going to be right here. Again, it is not marked. Okay? You just kind of have to know. This is where we're going to dump our grain into our silo. That's where we're going to get our grain out. We have a sleep trigger up the steps, and then we have our wardrobe trigger right there. And that is the starting farm. And why not go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet, since we are down here at the starting farm, where we do have the starting fleet in new farmer mode. We start out with the Fiat 670 pumped small tractor, 100 horsepower. We have the TX32 harvester that is paired up with the TX32 header and then the TX32 header trailer. We have the Welger DK115 trailer as well as the Rabe EG39 cultivator. We have the Amazon D9 3000 seeder and the Hardy Mega 1200L sprayer. That is our starting equipment. Now, if you take a look at our mods and DLCs, we do see that we do have things associated with this map in the Italia Emilia extension mod. We can buy empty wine barrels, $500 for 1,000 liters of wine in a wine barrel. We can buy 1,000 liters of metal components. Now, as best as I can tell, there is no way of actually producing metal components on the map, at least not at this point. So if we are going to make our own barrels, then we will be able to do that here from the metal components, and we can buy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 pallets of that. Let's get out of there because I don't want to hit with a copyright strike, whatever that music is. We can buy pallets of firewood, again, in up to quantities of 8, or we can make our own firewood over at the sawmill and carpentry facility. We have a custom grape harvester for white grapes. Really, really, I don't know if I'd say disappointed, but I'm really surprised that we have to have a custom harvester just for white grapes. So if we're going to do a combination of red and white grapes, your regular grapes and white grapes, we need 2 harvesters. So we also have modded trailers going to accept regular grapes and white grapes. And then we have a white grape pruner. I was thinking of a different word and I couldn't come up with the word. Mulcher is what I was thinking of. But here we have a pruner for white grapes. So if we are doing a combination of white and regular grapes, we're going to need 2 pruners, we're going to need 2 harvesters, and we're going to need to make sure that we buy one of these modded trailers that is set up to do regular grapes and white grapes also. Now let's continue on. Now the main farm in new farm mode is going to continue down around the corner under the road. Here we have a little silage bunker. There goes the train. Then we have a storage facility where we're going to be able to store seed, lime, and fertilizer. We're going to be able to buy that in, unload it from the train. You can rent the train. Got some solid fertilizer pallets, some seed pallets. I believe we also had some liquid fertilizer pallets up inside the building by our harvester. Sorry. And then we've got our cultivator, seeder, and sprayer down here. And the last thing to really make notice of is we do have a nice little ramp here if we're going to be pulling things off or loading things onto the train. Let's continue down the road here. We've got our sheep pasture, which is just up here on the hillside. Remember the UK map that we recently took a look at had an animated sheep pasture that was just decorative up on the hillside. Here we have a sheep pasture that is of use on the hillside. We're just going to take this kind of walking path along here to get to it. One of the reasons we use the Mahindra is it's small and agile, and it can get around some of these areas. So our wool pallets are going to spawn right here. We have our buy point for our sheep, 300 sheep in this particular pasture. And then up the road, up the path, we have then our food and water triggers for the sheep. So the food trough, water trough, and then the sheep have this whole area, this whole hillside to live and enjoy themselves on. continue up and around. Here we have a sell point and a train transfer location. So we have a rent train trigger. We have the trigger to dump because it has a little train icon, and then we're going to be able to fill into the train from right there. Wonderful detailed, right? I mean, we've got all this wonderful details. Way back up from below, and or this is a selling point. Okay, so let's take a look at where we are now on the map. So here was the sheep, or not the sheep, but the chicken farm, and then we are located right here. This is the Eastern Railway Interchange Silo, and then the Eastern Railway Interchange Sell Point. Let's make our way over to the wood chipping facility. And then we've got all the forestry on the map is over here to our right. If you play this map in FS19, a lot of this part of the map is going to be extremely, extremely familiar to you. So from here, we have our wood chipping facility. We have the ability to place wood chips in the train from there. We have the place to unload wood chips into a trailer from here. And if we come up, we have our wood chipper located right there. We can enter the vehicle. And once we do that, okay, we are now in our wood chipper. B to turn a wood chipper on. And we can place our logs right here. You'll see they'll feed right into the wood chipper. We can specify X to unload to the road or the train. We don't get any visual change when we do that, just from the F1 menu. Railway unloading, train unloading, and then we can pipe in and pipe out. There's no animations there at all, but that is how we can use this industrial wood chipper. We have a fuel tank located right there. Make our way across the top of the map now. We're going to go check out our dairy. We're going to go back in town. We're going to just do all sorts of fun jazz. I'm going to do a little bit of doubling back. Come out here to the dairy. So our pallet spawn point for the dairy is going to be up here at this loading dock. This is where our dairy's pallets are going to spawn in at. Again, none of really the production spawn areas are marked at all. I would like to have seen the yellow markers on these things. It definitely is affecting the overall scoring on the map because of the lack of those markers, and players can come in here and turn these off. I don't know why they just aren't showing. The map author could easily make them show, and then look, I can turn them off if I want. I can turn them on if I want. Let the player decide if they're going to see them or not see them. By making that choice for the player, you're really introducing a lot of potential frustration. So here we have our dairy interactive icon to buy it and basically control the dairy from the dairy. Here we have the starting area A, the farm A. If you were going to be starting from absolutely zero, this would be your cheapest way of starting. We have a water point. Then we have a silo. So we have our dump point, we have our fill point, and then we have a sleep trigger and wardrobe trigger over here at these cargo containers. Good little area to get started in, right? Once again, we have a good map that is using the different terrain elevations, going over and under bridges and such. We have our animal dealer located right here. We have a sell point for our potatoes, sugar beets. And then here we have the dairy. So once again, not the dairy, the grain mill. Once again, just like the dairy, the pallets are going to spawn here at this loading dock. It's not marked other than maybe the yellow hashing that's right there. And then on this side, we have our interactive icon. Then we have our dump station for the grain mill. Or flour mill, I guess I should say. And we're just going to completely ignore the road signs. And let's show you what these white grapes look like. So here we have our white grapes. Okay. Remember, I mentioned if we happen to buy Farm B, which is slightly more expensive than Farm A, our sleep trigger is going to be located up this path. So we're going to be able to go up this path. And then our sleep trigger is right here for Farm B. And then this is the pasta facility. So the spawn point for our pasta pallets are going to be right here. Our interactive area icon is located right there. And then our dump station for our pasta is located inside of here. Kind of a very tight area to get into, but an area nonetheless. Here we have the hostel sell point. We'll make our way. Up and around and down. Here we have a water fill point. We're going to be able to get water from there. Now we're coming around to what was the pig farm in FS19. Now we have pig and sheep. We have our sleep trigger. Leave around the back, we have our wardrobe trigger. We have our vehicle shop. Here we have our dump station for pig food. This is where we are going to feed our pigs. Here we have our farm silo. This is also a pig food silo. So this is where we're going to dump our grain, and then we can dump pig food in here to store pig food. Come around the corner. Here where we're going to have our silo out, our pig food out, our pig delivery point. 240 pigs in this particular facility. We have our manure heap for our pigs. We have our slurry point for our pigs. And then we have our water trigger for our pigs. Now down here, we have our bakery. So we have our dump point for our bakery. And I will admit, I did not look to see where our bakery pallets spawn in at. Completely forgot about that during the reconnaissance part of the video. And if I were to guess, I would guess that the pallets are going to spawn here. For the bakery, I could be completely wrong in that, but that is just a completely random guess. But, I mean, you can tell the map author has put so much work into this. We have not seen a reused building yet. We have not seen a building from Farm Sim, not 22 yet. This whole area is brand new. This bakery and the sheep barn. We have chickens. Also, our dump point for our chicken feed. We also are going to be getting our eggs. Are going to spawn here also. We have then our dump point for our sheep, our water for our sheep, and then our there it is, off to the side. 300 sheep. So if you come up right to the trigger, you're not going to get it. You got to be off to the side a little bit. So there we go. There we are. Ah, parked up over here. I did some live streams series on this map in 19. This is the farm I used. And in 19, and look at that big hillside of grapes. Big farm up on the hill. It's where we're going to soon. Now this area is not technically tied to the farm that we just left. It is separate viable plot. You'll see that we were right here. This is its own viable plot for $10,000. Farm D is $1 million, includes field 14. And this is basically a silage bunker and some vehicle storage. All right, guys, if it is going to be time to take a little bit of a break and go to the restroom and then come back, this is going to be the time for it, because we are about to spend a whole lot of time talking about just one farm in particular. Once I get up there. Because if you can do it, the farm on the hill, highest point on the map, is going to have it. It's a little bit of a tight entrance up into here because we do have those, not really like bollards, but sort of like bollards. We've got this tight fencing along the road. So something to pay attention to with respect to the size of equipment that you may pick to use on the map. Some just general storage down here. Look at that. Look at the map. Man, she's a beauty, even with these low quality, air quote, low quality textures, right? This map is still quite the looker. You can only imagine what she might look like with those higher quality textures. And up we go. Now, first thing I want to take note is over here, this is where we're going to get our grape solids out. So this farm includes the ability of doing wine. This is where grape solids are going to come from. It's not marked here in any way, but this is where you're going to get them. Quite the hill to get up. And here we are. So I'm just going to park this up here for now. We're just going to continue to talk about our wine. Let me run over here to where our winery part is. So our wine casks, our barrels of wine are going to spawn here. We also have a fuel tank up here that we can fill. Our dump station for our grapes is located right here. Our interactive icon is inside the winery, and oh my gosh, this is so cool. So here we have an interactive icon for the cellar. And look at all this. We can roll our casks down here. I don't know if when we put in barrels, if they appear down here before they're used, right? But we're going to get our barrels. We're going to spawn up here, like I said. Right there. There we go. Take a look at that. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Let me know down in the comments below, are you already sold on this map? Where are you sold at? Basically, today we're going to take a look at Map Italia. Now, I wouldn't get in the pool. The pool's a little grimy. I think they need to hire someone to do the pool work. Got our wardrobe trigger. Located right there. Here we have a small horse pasture. 2 horses. All the triggers are located right here. We have our fuel, our food, we have our water, and the trigger right there. I mean, just amazing details on all these buildings. All custom buildings. This is where we came up. Our sleep trigger is up the steps. That's what I was kind of looking for. So here we have our sleep trigger at the main hillside farm. Over here we have our farm silo. So we have our pipe out. We have our dump point for the farm silo. Right there. Here we're going to pull our milk, our water for our cows. I mean, look, we got the cow area. We got these massive fans. Keep air moving. So we have our dump station for our cows as far as our food goes. Now the triggers for the cows are a little disjointed because the cow buy point is over here. $240 cows at this farm. The cow buy point is right there. The rest of the triggers are over. We have then our pig water trigger, our pig food trigger, our pig slurry trigger, our pig buy point, 180 pigs. I believe our straw point is inside of here for our pigs. We have our manure heap for our pigs. We have the manure heap for our... Sorry, this is not manure, this is for silage. Chickens. 100 chickens in this particular coop. Then we have our food down here. We're not done. We have then our slurry point for our cows, I believe. Then we have sheep. We have our sheep buy point. 600 sheep in this particular pen. We have food. We have water. And then we have our wool right here. 600 sheep. Down around the corner, we have just a general water fill point. Located right here. We have a workshop trigger. It's general more storage. And that is pretty much the big farm up on the hill. Now, just down from the big farm on the hill, we have the buildings that are associated with Farm B. Remember, Farm B, the sleep trigger is in town, but the actual buildings tied to Farm B are located right here. So we have a workshop trigger. We have a wardrobe trigger, since we only have the ability to sleep at the apartment. Apparently we don't have the room for our clothes at our apartment. We have a silo dump and fill point. Fertilizer storage. It seems to be tied to this fill point. I want to see if these are seed and fertilizer or if they're just fertilizer. I'm too short. I'm too short, and the triggers don't quite line up with the pipe. All right. Then down we go. Let's see where we're at here. We haven't even gotten over to the extended part of the map yet. There we have a kind of an abandoned rail line. Lots of little details on this map. It's really depressing. The map is not going to score as high as it looks, right? There's nothing wrong with the map. It's not going to score very high because of several things. all of the things at the farms are fully burnt into the map. No farm is customizable at all. So the map's going to get a big fat goose egg with respect to can the farms be customized. They can't. And if you don't care about that, then fine. It's not a big impact. If you are someone that always plays and always changes around the main farm, then this map is not for you. If you need that flexibility and the customizability, this map is not for you. If you are perfectly willing to play the map exactly how it's presented to you from the map author, then this map might fit the bill. So here we have the ability to store silage and transfer silage to the train. We have a train rent icon located right there. And just to save opening another gate, we're going to exit the same way we came in. Buildings, where appropriate, are using the new texture technique. They are not. And I think we've already talked about this a little bit. The buildings are using the, in essence, FS19 textures. Maybe not even those. Maybe the textures have been stepped down a little bit, even from FS19. Now we're going to double back. Yeah, we're gonna go the other way. I think it'd be more cost effective and time to go the other way. So we're gonna give the map a 1/4 of a point with respect to buildings using the new texture technique. Maybe the high quality texture pack is making use of the ambient occlusion and the parallax occlusion techniques. But as best as I can tell, this map is not using the parallax occlusion to give buildings a 3D appearance, especially when we see brick and rock exteriors. The only place that I really saw it was that one rock wall. So now we are in the extended part of the map. Look at all these grapes over here on the left. Remember, the scoring metric does not take into account how beautiful the map might be. The scoring metric does not take into account how unique the map is with respect to production enhancements. The scoring only bases itself upon key FS22 gameplay items. And one of those gameplay items is using the new texturing that is a part of FS22. Alright, so here we are at the mega grape farm. So the grape farm includes access to an oil mill. So we have the oil mill dump station here. Just want to see if that door opened. The oil mill, as one of the outputs, is olive pulp, remember? So we go up here to our oil mill. It's the first one we looked at. And olive production waste. This is where our olive production waste is going to come out at. So our dump station for our oils, olive production waste. We have then our interactive icon. Nice little mural. Then our pallets are going to spawn right here. Our oil pallets are going to spawn right there. Over here we have our winery, or not our winery. So we're going to dump our grapes into here. We have our interactive icon right here. Our wine casks are going to spawn in at right here. Our solids are going to come out right here. So like this area would have been a perfect building to use that new technique on, because we've got rocks, right? If you get up close to it, it's just flat. Maybe the new HD textures at €2 would make use of that. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. Over here we have our silo for this farm. So we have our dump point and our fill pipe for our just traditional silo. And that is pretty much the farm. Right? We do have our wardrobe and sleep trigger here around back. Excuse me, I'm just going to walk on your table. Let's go ahead and make our way back to another new farm that is marked on the map. Look at all of those vines. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking multiplayer. I'm thinking a massive multiplayer grape farm. Who wants to play multiplayer on this map? I know one server is already started up. If we got enough players, let me know in the Discord. I'll be your Huckleberry. I'll give you a map. I'll give you a server. Yeah, let's go. These Italian drivers, they don't wait for nobody. So over there we have the silage area that's all by itself with the silo that dumps into the train. We're coming back the way that we went. And we're going to go ahead and do the circle like we're supposed to. And here we are. Next farm. Coming up. Man, can you imagine what this map would look like in autumn? Right, here we have our wardrobe. We have our sleep. We have our pig dump point. Man, look at this. This is amazing. We have our pig buy point. 300 pigs in this particular facility. We have our pig slurry. We have our pig manure heap. And around the corner, we have our pig water. And I believe the straw is also over there. We have our fuel tank and maintenance trigger. We have another sheep barn. 300 sheep in this particular facility. We have our food trough for the sheep. Our water point for the sheep. And I'm going to completely tell you right now, I have completely blanked out where the wool spawns for this area. Completely at this point blanked out where it is. Again, it's in that downloadable PDF guide. I cannot recommend enough downloading that and keeping that handy. Over here we have our silo and our pig food silo. So we're a dump station. We have our output pipes for our grain and pig food silo. And I think that is everything at this farm. I don't think this farm magically has chickens that are hidden somewhere. Nope. We could make our way around this road and come up here to this farm, but what we're going to do is we're going to come back the main road, the old part of the map, and we're going to hit the sell point there. We're going to hit the cow area that's all by itself, Then we're going to come up and branch off and make our way. And this is where we are going to conclude our epic journey on Map Italia Extended. The Farm Sim Double Deuce. I do want to go by the fields over there, like I said, with those solar panels and just show you the sign that the map author has there and kind of show you the concept. A rather interesting concept. I like it. On a personal note, I bit the bullet and I'm getting solar put on the house. A little nervous. It's a big investment. Hope it's going to pay off. We'll see. We're going to install it in about a month and a half. So we have a dump point here for our sell point on the trailer. We also have the ability to dump from the train right there. I like this little bypass area. Pretty cool. Now let's go check out this solar field. So here it says, the field hosts an agrivoltaic plant, a technology that allows the coexistence of photovoltaics, solar panels, and agriculture on the same land. ME Synapia announced that the EDO mod is part of a group of investors whose object is to finance an installation of this combined system. All funds raised from your donations of the Italia map and future works will be used for investments in agrivoltaic. And then you can find out more information at this URL right there. Let's go take a look at it. It's pretty cool. So like I said, good luck with your harvesting because these holes do have collisions. Okay, you can't just set a hired helper out here on this field and have them go to town and not have to worry about working around these things. So we've got this steel structure and these panels that are set up, and ideally they still allow enough light to come underneath the panels so that a crop can continue to grow. And in theory, they're high enough off the ground that none of your machinery is going to get hung up in this superstructure. Really awesome, really cool. If you all know anything about this, put it down in the comments below. Next stop is a cow barn. Get a little bit of a look at the custom train. I got so excited I missed my turn off. I got so excited I missed my turn off. We can go under the train bridge if we want. Take this, and lovely use of over and under. I think that's what I'm calling it now. Over and under technique. Going over road, under the bridges. So here we have kind of an independent cow pasture, not associated with any one particular field or farm. We have our slurry. We have our manure. We have a kind of storage area for buildings, whatever. We have a water point. Then we have our food and straw inside of here. We have our cow buy point. $400 cows in this particular facility. We have our milk point. Down the lower level, we do have a silage bunker right there. And then this is listed as, I guess, bale storage. Equipment storage, whatever you want to put down there. Let's double back. I might as well take a little different route. Over to the final farm. There's a solar field. The final farm we're going to take a look at. So it would be interesting to know if anyone has updated precision farming to work with this map, specifically with the solid digestate and the grape residuals. And here we are, the final frontier, the final farm that we're going to take a look at today. Some of these doors do open, so if you want to make sure that you check those out, you might be missing storage opportunities. There's a workshop trigger in here somewhere. So before we dive into this farm, a quarter point, I think, is what we've already said with respect to building textures and such. I mean, because, you know, here we are. Just kind of old school stuff, right? Low textures. We know what we got. We downloaded the low texture version. We cheaped out. We didn't do $2. Now you're feeling a little bad you didn't give $2 because of the whole photo agriculture thing, right? Maybe the higher textures are using the new technique, but we're going to rate it on what we can download for the general populace, which is going to be a quarter of a point. And player and interactive trigger areas are clearly marked. They're missing and lacking to a great extent. So here we have our workshop trigger. We have our sleep trigger located right there. So we're going to give a half a point. So in the end, the map is going to come up with a score of 2 3/4 out of 5. 2 3/4 out of 5, because we got a full point on production, a full point on selling things. We can sell everything. We just don't have a stone crusher. Everything on all the farms is permanent. 0 points there. Farms can't be customized. A quarter point only with textures. And half a point with triggers being clearly marked. If we had the yellow and black edge markers where all the pallets spawn, and where all the sell points are, where all the silo dump points are, full point there. Maybe the new textures, maybe the good textures would make that a 1 for buildings where appropriate using the new texture technique. So maybe if you ponied up $2, you would get a 3.5 out of 5. If those markers were there, it would be a 4.5 out of 5 with those new textures potentially. Now, does that make it a bad map? No. It makes it a map that might be a little confusing for the player to play, which again is why I have extremely highly recommended downloading the guide. So here we have our pig water. We have our pig buy point. 270 pigs in this particular pen. Our food is actually going to come in these pipes, these hoses. So our food dump is actually located right here. Our slurry point, our manure, and I think our straw is inside of here. Now we can open these doors. We have our farm silo. We have our fill point. And we also have a workshop trigger, I believe. Oh, we had a workshop trigger. I'm sure it's over here somewhere. We have a fuel point. We then have water for our cows. Food trough for our cows. We have our cow trigger. 240 cows in this particular facility. We have our milk trigger, slurry trigger, manure heap, and I knew there was a workshop trigger behind one of these doors. Presto, there it is. More vehicle storage, implement storage, and whatnot located right there. So guys, that is going to do us for map Italia. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the map? Has it been worth the wait? This is easily one of the most anticipated maps of Farm Sim 22 to date. It is now out and available. Are you jumping at downloading it? Have you already downloaded it? Already started playing it while this video is still going? If you've gotten to the end of this video, I want to thank you so much for actually hanging in and watching all of it. It does surely make a difference with respect to how YouTube is offering these videos up to everybody. So often in times, the play average duration runtime is just a mere fraction of the total video runtime. But you know what? We are no doubt going to provide you with as much information as anyone else will on any and every map that is worth showing for Farm Sim 22. And until next time, happy farming.